Radio Namaste is brought to you by your host, the blue-collar goddess, Sarah Nash, and a small crew of guest personalities determined to amuse, entertain, and occasionally astonish you. And now, Radio Namaste, a different brand of enlightenment streaming live across this galaxy and probably a few more.
It's your very own blue-collar goddess, Sarah Nash, as your host, and you're listening to Radio Namaste on the OMTimes radio network. Welcome to a very different brand of enlightenment. And just in case you didn't know already, one of our bigger advantages over other radio networks is that we have the most advanced mobile player on the planet. And listeners don't have to download an app to get live streaming access to this conscious community of lightworking musicians, artists, authors, healers, and psychic rock stars. And I didn't pronounce musicians, working musicians. Let's talk for a second about conscious communities. You would think that our handicapped brothers and sisters would have a larger presence in the New Age or non-denominational spiritual communities. Yet it seems that it's quite the opposite. Our so-called enlightenment or consciousness appears to apply to those of us who are quote unquote healthy and vibrant. I mean, let's face it, you don't see too many ads for a meditating guru in a wheelchair. Hey, Ted? Oh, we've got Zen Master Ted sitting over here. He's helping me moderate. Anyways, we highlight the champion who wears a prosthetic and runs a race, but we turn away from the bedridden or crippled for a variety of reasons. Predominantly, I think, because they remind us that we aren't perfect, even in our perfection. And even with all our Reiki and chanting and meditating, people are still blind, deaf, and disabled. Our guest today, Millicent Tirk, aka Motorized Millie, is a magnificent Uber lightworker and a very dedicated spiritual warrior, in spite of being diminished or ignored as a result of being born with cerebral palsy. Every single time I say that, I always get a little bit choked up. Anyways, I happen to know that her mad skills at defending the universe from darkness is pretty epic. But I'm sort of ashamed to admit that for several years, I took her ability to hold a very high vibration of love and light for granted. I don't know if it's simply because her enthusiasm is incredibly childlike in some ways. I mean, I don't mean childish. I do mean innocent and without the sort of life experience those of us who aren't drastically disabled face. But in the last couple of years, I began to turn to this woman in some very dark moments because I know her unique perspective on life could carry me through some extraordinary difficulties. And our conversations wouldn't just last 20 minutes or half an hour either. We would sit for hours at a time, and we still do, actually. And in retrospect, I know that if I didn't have her really kind and loving and truly decent outlook, not to mention her unwavering faith in my ability to succeed through any dilemma, I'd be miles behind in my spiritual growth and probably still struggling with the consequences of really several bad choices. I will say that Millie tells it like she sees it, and once in a while we bonk heads like soul sisters do. It's rare, but we don't always agree, which is why I asked her to co-host one show a month with me here at Radio Namaste, because she does have an opinion that I firmly believe deserves to be heard, and she's delightful. And she's not afraid to tell me to go bugger off either. You're going to love her. And if you don't, well, then you probably don't have a soul. Soul. Okay. It rhymes with bowl, as in Super Bowl. Yeah. I know loads of you could care less. It still matters, though, because according to the Global Consciousness Project, each Super Bowl Sunday registers a change in the random number generator. So whether you care or not, it affects the vibration of humanity. So I connected with my super conscious, very enlightened friend, Jeff Rickard, who is an Emmy-nominated announcer at ESPN, and that's a sports network for those of you who live on top of mountains and commune with apricots or whatever. And I read him a letter from one of our listeners, and I apologize if this pre-recorded segment is a bit tinny, but it's too good not to share. So give me a second. I'm going to play it for you. And that should lead us right into our first break. When we return, we're going to bring Motorized Millie on the air, and she's going to tell you how she got her DJ code name. And she told me to make sure I had some tissues handy. So maybe you'll want to grab a few too. And at the end of the hour, we'll do the same thing that we do every week. Hand out karma violations for the Father Mulcahy Award, give someone a virtual hug and a rock for the Authentic Namaste Award. And if there's time, we're going to do the Ask the Blue Collar Goddess. These are questions that may or may not be answered by a magic 8-ball. So I'm also available for consultations. OMTimes Advisors is where you can look me up. And there's a link on my website at namaste.com too. So Zen Master Ted, if I play this Super Bowl segment, it is 6 minutes and 41 seconds long. Does that give us enough time?
Go.
Right. This is Kelly from Vancouver, Jeff. Kelly was asking me about the Super Bowl, and he says, the first thing he said was, what's a Super Bowl? Does it hold a lot of chili? How do you win one? What's a Seahawk? Can anyone be one? Then I told him, well, there's this thing called Google, right? And so he goes to the search page and it says how the Super Bowl works. And then he says, what a load of bullshit. That is not how one works. I watched 1/4 of a game just to confirm, and then in quotations, that would be 15 minutes of a 1-hour game. The 1/4 required approximately 3.74 hours of television time to air. At the end of each and every play, any segment of the game interrupted by a referee, 5 to 34 televised advertising segments ranging in length from 11 seconds to about 46 minutes each are aired. Following this is a 7-second huddle and grub session, after which the next play commences, following, of course, 714 instant replays, televised from every conceivable angle and possible and position available, between which complete idiots spend a great deal of time discussing the strategies, rights, wrongs, and incantations involved in every play, movement of play, referee decision, and of course, all the while judging each and every replay shot and clip for its accuracy, technique, and originality. I never spent a more useless afternoon. Please, Jeff, how do I get my afternoons back?
You're never going to get your afternoon back, but I will say this, Kelly. I think he nailed it. That's the Super Bowl in a nutshell, is what he talked about. But what Kelly from Vancouver didn't get out of Google is what you and I got in the States growing up, is from a very early age. A football game is what you do in high school on Friday night. It's where you go to meet your friends. It's where you start to mingle with the opposite sex when you're, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then later on, it continues in college. And every Saturday, everybody on campus goes and gathers at the stadium and they have a big party. And then they celebrate the team's victory or they commiserate the team's loss. By the time you get to the Super Bowl, the whole country comes together and has one big party. That's what it is. It's a party with sort of something going on in the middle of it. If you've ever been to an American Super Bowl party, roughly 22% of the people, usually mostly guys and 3 women, are paying attention to the game. Everybody else is doing what he said. They're going to a bowl of chili, dipping nachos in it, eating it, and imbibing as much alcohol as they can. That's really what the Super Bowl is about. It's kind of America's unofficial, hey, let's just have a big party holiday that's not really celebrating anything.
Well, actually, Jeff, in my house, there used to be 2 seasons, football and waiting for football.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, and I don't want to get too serious for a minute here, but it's the one thing in our major American cities that kind of crosses religious and ethnic and social and financial barriers. Every Sunday, people in a specific city, I grew up in Denver, whether it's Seattle, whether it's Boston, New England, they kind of put aside all their differences and they put on the same color jersey, they go to the same place or they watch the same game, and they kind of become one entity for just a couple of hours. And I think on a deep level, that's really what the connection is all about.
In some ways, football is promoting world peace.
Yeah, but the game itself is like so anti-world peace. I mean, the game itself is completely the game of capturing territory. That's really what football is taking territory, one play, 1/4, 1/2, one game at a time. And the more territory you get, the more opportunities you have to score points. Obviously, you score more points, you win. If you want to get really funny about it, and you're Googling, Kelly, Google George Carlin baseball versus football. It'll be one of the funniest things he's ever seen in his life.
Baseball versus football. George Carlin, baseball versus football.
Mostly from an observational standpoint, like if aliens landed on Earth on Super Bowl Sunday and watched the Super Bowl, I think they would report exactly what Kelly reported in his letter.
Say that one more time, Jeff, just so I can get that for prosperity's sake.
I think Kelly nailed it. His powers of observation were spot on. That's pretty much what happens in the Super Bowl. What he's missing is the entire season that leads up to that and everybody coming together all over the country to celebrate just being an American, I would suppose, as much as anything. It's the closest thing we can get to 4th of July without really attaching like the actual independence to it or anything like that. It's just a big excuse to party.
Well, unless of course it's, that has something to do with the Patriots winning, because, hey, that I got to tell you, I almost feel responsible for the, I almost don't even want to say this on the air, but I started watching towards the end and I was getting so happy. I was doing my little dance. I was so happy. And then I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, that was pretty much the entire Northwest right there.
Oh.
Yes. In fact, there's also a YouTube video of a bunch of Seahawks fans watching that last game, and they're chanting. They're going, and Marshawn Lynch was the running back everyone wanted to carry the football instead of the Seahawks throwing it, and they were going, Marshawn, 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 no!
Yeah.
That's how it went.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. And, and if I could connect with you in the future, you could maybe be our touchstone for sports and spirituality.
Anything you want. As you know, I'm a lot more than sports. So.
That's right. That's right, brother. Thank you so much. And that was Jeff Rickard from ESPN, the Emmy-nominated Dude, Man, Bro, Man, Dude. Don't even ask me what that is. I'm going to have to go back and take a look at that.
Just tell him to Google it. They'll figure it out.
No, seriously, where can they find you? Where can they listen to you?
Mostly I'm on Sirius XM satellite radio, and they use me as kind of their utility man. They'll put me on NFL broadcasts or
the
Major League
cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicent, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
That was trippy. Like I could hear my own commercial. Did you hear that, Ted? That was crazy. Did you hear that, Millie?
I sure did. Wow.
I'm like, whoa, check me out. I got my own commercial. Hey, how's the weather out there, Millie? Cold. Well, I got my tissue. But anyways, when we were talking before the show started, you told me that you wanted to say something to your buddy, Chris Reardon.
I sure do. First of all, as Sarah said, my name is Motorized Millie, And that particular moniker was given to me by one of my dearest friends, Chris Reardon, who has a podcast called United Kingdom Talk. And as well as today being my first time appearing on this show, it is also his birthday. So I would like to wish him a huge, 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 gargantua happy birthday from all of us here at Radio Nahmaste. And thanks, buddy, for giving me that moniker. You gave it to me, and from the minute you gave it to me, it stuck. Love you, bro man, dude.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Reardon. Happy birthday to you. Was that good?
And we totally goofed that up because I didn't realize.
No, I
do Marilyn Monroe. I'll get even with you later for that.
I know, you probably will. I already told people that you and we bounce off of each other really well.
Yes.
You know, it's funny because I wanted to call you Magnificent Millie.
I had a problem with that, though.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And the reason I had a problem with that is because, number one, it felt too much as if it would be too much on the ego, first of all. And I do know how important it is to have a healthy ego, but I think it's more important for me to, number one, show that I'm not ashamed of having cerebral palsy. And number two, it's very important for me to honor those who can see past my disability, of which Chris is one and of which you are also one, Sarah. And so I therefore wanted to keep the moniker that was given to me by Chris.
And, you know, I am actually having little angel wings made for your wheelchair.
You're kidding me, right?
No, I'm not. We actually are. It's true. And we're going to post pictures later. And that was my little special thing that I wanted to give to you today because I just thought it would be really cute. You can actually attach them to the back of your wheelchair. And
awesome.
I know. Wings on your wheelchair because you're such an angel. Millie, what is the one thing that you wish people understood about you and others like you?
I wish people understood that just because a part of our body may not work, it does not mean that we do not have a brain. It does not mean that we do not have a heart. It does not mean that we can't think or are not sexual beings. We have the same needs, wants, and desires as anybody on two legs. It's just that we have limitations that we need to work around. But it can be done.
You know, I remember one conversation we had, we were talking about if you could actually, if they somehow came up with a cure or something and you actually were able to walk, if you were actually able to have, you said something, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and let you tell me.
Okay.
Or tell the world, actually. I feel like we're on the phone, Millie, let's talk.
It's okay, Sarah, really. I remember the question very well. And you had asked me if technology somehow became available so that you would have the ability to walk, would you take it? And I said to you that I would not. And you reacted in the way that most people react when I said that, which is you went, huh? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't? Why? And I said, for these reasons. One, this being in a wheelchair is all I've ever known from the time that I was born. I mean, this is just all I've ever known. I've never known anything else. And this is what I was given to work with. It's not my job to question it. It's just my job is to make the best life for myself that I can with what I've been given to do or given to work with. And I said to you also that another reason that I would not take it is because technology, as we all know, because we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde, can do some pretty strange things once in a while and can even wear out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know myself well enough to know that if I was given the ability to walk through technology, but it wound up wearing out and not being able to be replaced, I would not be able to cope with gaining the ability to walk and then losing it again.
Oh my God, I never thought of that. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's there's a few things I want to ask you, but I want you to describe to us how this disability affects you, and what is it that you can't do that others might take for granted. I mean, just tell me about your day, just generally speaking.
All right. And I'm going to try and not be too graphic here, but some details may be a little bit TMI. So I need to.
You can say whatever you want.
Just say excuse. I know, but you know what I mean. Some things you don't, I am always dealing with chronic pain because there are 4 main types of cerebral palsy besides mine.
Okay.
My particular one is called spastic quadriplegia, which means that all 4 limbs are affected. My legs are the ones, or what is most severely affected. But I basically have pain everywhere in my body at any given time. And I never know how severe that pain is going to be from second to second. And I have a very low physical pain tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine it would be, if you can get a mental picture in your head of a rope, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Picture a rope. Now, your sons, James and Jesse, must have been in Boy Scouts at one point, right?
No.
Okay, well, all right.
Just sports. No, go ahead. It was Girl Scouts and Daisies, but I keep going. It's fine.
Well, all right. Imagine that you have a child or a son that is in Boy Scouts, and if you're in Scouts at all, one of the things you learn is how to tie knots. So, as I said, take a picture in your mind of a rope, and then imagine that rope being tied in very intricate, very tight knots that no mere mortal can untie.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of pain I get into every day.
Okay, so, and with that kind of pain, and I know what the answer is, but I want you to tell your listening audience here about your meditation capabilities and how you are capable of stepping aside from that and using that great power that you have inside of you, because I've seen you do it. But, I mean, it's I want the world to know that you're not on a ton of pain medication and that you don't drink and it's like you have this really incredible capability of maintaining some equanimity throughout your day. So tell us about that.
I do what I can to keep myself as comfortable as possible. For me, that means even though I can and am capable of getting into my chair and being out and about when I have to, I choose to keep myself comfortable by spending most of my time in bed with a pillow under each leg.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is what keeps the pain at bay. That's not to say that I'm bedridden, because I do, have the capability to be up and about should I choose to. The reason I don't is because after I can get transferred into my chair and be fine throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
But unlike most people, I can't get up and walk around. Like you, Sarah, could get up and get a drink of water. You could go get up and make yourself a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
You could go take a walk to give yourself a rest.
Yeah.
I cannot do that. So after 8 hours of being in my chair all day, when I get transferred back to my bed, that crap's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I hate, it's pain. I mean, any sort of pain. But physical pain is, I want to say the B word.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and you've actually traveled across, you've gone to the UK, and I know that flight was just devastating.
Oh my God. I had to, honest to God, Sarah, I had to literally do something that one should not do under normal circumstances. But it was either that or suffer just heinous pain throughout the flight. What I actually had to do was I had to take a muscle relaxer and mix it with cognac.
And see, there are people, Millie, who day in and day out actually do this kind of stuff all the time because, they have a hangnail. All right.
Right.
So, I mean, I am always in awe of how incredible again, we've had these hours-long conversations where you've just set aside everything that you've got going on in your life just to listen to me. And, granted, my issues are not hangnails either, but when we're about ready to go to a break, and I can't believe that it's already been 15 minutes, but when we get back, I want to start talking about your path and your journey into becoming this amazing light worker that you are now, okay? So let's hang tight, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hi, my name is Monica, and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Howdy. Namaste. Still honoring the shining lunatic in each of us. It's back to the person of the hour, Millie. Motorized Millie. Millie, we left off talking about how your disability affects you, what a normal day is like. And actually, it sounds like your normal day is just pain, 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 pain. And still, you manage to have this incredible and beautiful attitude. When and how did you first discover that you were a light worker?
Okay, this is where you might need the tissues, Sarah.
Okay.
I grew up in a house where conflict was the rule rather than the exception. And I also am a survivor of abuse that took place from the age of 4 to 7, and at the hands of a nanny and her son, because both of my parents worked outside the home, and I needed someone to look after me before and after school. But the abuse was so horrific that my mind blocked it out until 1992. And in that year, I moved from Seattle, USA, where I grew up, to Minnesota, USA, to attend Courage Center. And that's a place where people such as myself can gain the skills that they need to gain their independence.
Like what? What would that be?
Like how to hire your own independent, or how to hire your own PCA.
What's a PCA?
Personal care attendant.
Okay. All right.
Just basically life skills that are adapted, for people like myself. I don't really like to talk about Courage Center much because I did not enjoy it.
Okay.
And I did not feel, and I still do not feel, that they treat people there with the dignity and respect that they deserve. So I don't like to talk about my time at Courage Center much.
And, and that right there, those two words, dignity and respect, human beings in general just crave dignity and respect. And then when you have this disability on top of it, it's like not only have you become a minority, but now you're part of a disabled minority that is, it's sort of like you get the double whammy. And again, here we are being this incredible light worker that spends all this time helping other people. I mean, you're not bitter, Millie. You're amazing.
Oh, it didn't start out that way, Sarah. It took a lot of healing. It took a lot of work.
I don't know, man. I've had a lot of friends. See, I'm going to tell the listening audience, you and I met each other online. And it was in a blogging community. And yeah, I was, I still am I love to write, and I'm, presenting a lot of different articles and stuff as soon as I get them out there. But anyways.
We were blogging before blogging was cool.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And, you just came out of nowhere and you were like my champion. And out of all the people in my world who should have stuck up for me, and really, I'm still really angry at them, and you know who you are. All 10 of you. It's like this person out of the blue just steps up and says, hey, y'all are being, really mean. Knock it off. And everybody just sort of, backed off. And I'm like, whoo, who's this? And I had no clue that that you are this amazing person in a wheelchair and in a bed with cerebral palsy. And I thought to myself, that's really interesting because I'm deaf. All right. A lot of people don't know that I'm legally deaf because I faked it. I was ashamed of it. I was ashamed of my disabilities, and I learned how to lip read. And I think that my deafness has allowed me to become an incredible intuitive psychic and an empath. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Tell us about you.
All right. Well, in 1992, I came home for the holidays that year, and I was 19. I flew home to Seattle, and I swear I was not on the plane or off the plane for 5 minutes before my parents were going at each other again verbally. I mean, boom! Butting of heads. I mean, if there was such a thing as verbal punching, they were flying, man. So I said nothing until we got to the house. But then when I got out of the van, I pulled my mother aside and I said, look, I didn't come home to listen to you and Dad bicker. I came home to have a good time this holiday season. Have you and Dad ever considered marital counseling? Which is a question I had wanted to ask for years, but certainly it's not the type of question you can ask out of the blue. I was in no way prepared for the answer that I got, which was for my own mother to look me right in the eye and tell me that if it weren't for me, the marital problems would not exist.
Ouch.
Yeah. Big
Ouch.
ouch.
Yeah.
Big, huge ouch. So that's pretty much started the process of snapping the bond between my mother and myself.
Uh-huh.
Fast forward 10 years to 2002. And as Sarah said, I just left her a comment after somebody just chewed her to pieces on this blogging site that we both were on.
For no reason at all.
Yeah, and I had read Sarah's blog for quite a long time, but had never commented. But
You were stalking me.
Shut up, Sarah. But anyway, I saw the verbal attack that was going on, and I thought, no. So I left you a comment basically saying, this person is nuts. Don't let her get you, and here are my contact details. If you choose to use them, great. If not, that's fine too. So I waited. About 3 weeks later, my phone rings. And it's Sarah on the other line. And
hello.
and it turned into a nearly 4 hour conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there are 3 people on top of my therapy and on top of everything else that I did. There are 3 people. Sarah was the one that helped me figure out about myself why it is that I feel things more deeply than the average person. She is the one that helped me start on my spiritual path. I mean, she, Derek Akora, and Philip Solomon, in that order.
Wow, that's good company. Thank you.
You're very welcome, but it's also very true. Because I can tell you all right now that if Sarah had not said to me, look, I think you are a light worker, and she explained to me what all of that was, what an empath was. I mean, because I was starting to hear all of these terms from reading all these other people on this blogging site, but I had no idea what all these words meant. It was like, huh, what? It's like...
Let me stop you right there. Let me ask you, how would you define a light worker?
To me, a light worker is somebody who watches and observes, like I can't do the 9-to-5 career thing. And book learning, not for me. Ugh, that's a whole other show. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, you did go to college, but go on.
Yeah, it was not good. But anyway, what I do is the internet is my window on the world, and it always has been. And what I do is I spend a lot of time doing things that I enjoy doing on the computer, audiobooks, Facebooking, stuff like that. But also in the process of doing that, I'm constantly watching. I'm constantly observing. And if I see somebody or feel something where something tells me somebody is in a little bit of trouble, then I will drop. Depending on I will always drop everything.
You're like Batman.
But I will always drop everything. But how much I drop everything depends on the severity of the situation.
Uh-huh.
Such as, like, for example, you alluded to, times when you've been going through stuff. Because I consider you my sister, if you are in trouble, I mean, I'm, boom, right there.
And that's a fact, people. I mean, on my 40th birthday, like, all the people who should have given a shit didn't. By the way, I'll be turning 50 this year on June 10th. We're going to be 5 to 50. Guess who sent me flowers? Millie, guess who sent me flowers on my 40th birthday?
I know who sent you flowers. It was little old me.
Yeah, I mean, You've always been there, and you've always been so consistent and so dedicated, even when I never, like, months would go by and I wouldn't call you, and you would still just send me a little letter, a little note, and you would say, hey, I love you. And I didn't even realize just until, it was like 9-10 months ago, how incredibly valuable and solid you have been in my life. And to me, that's a light worker, somebody who you can completely depend upon and count upon to blow the snot bubbles and be there at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's more than just a friend, though. It's not, you never allowed me to victimize myself, though, either. You understand that?
No. And there have been a couple of times, as Sarah said, it's very rare, but there have been a couple of times where we've just gone, and both of us have gotten really mad at each other and just, ooh. But at the end of the day, we still love the crap out of each other, because we call ourselves sisters, because we have siblings. And our bio siblings.
Hey, Millie, you know what? We're going to go to a break in just a couple of seconds here. I'm going to have you stay on the show. Just stay on the show. We're gonna take this hour out together, and when I start giving out the Nahmaste awards and stuff, we'll have your commentary too. Zen Master Ted, where are we with the, I'm not even looking at the time. What do we got going on here?
We've got about 30 seconds.
About 30 seconds? Okay. With regard to that, hey, Millie, tell people that you're going to be available at radionamaste@gmail.com. So radionamaste@gmail.com. Put in the subject line. If anybody wants to write Millie a letter, just make sure you put in the subject line for Motorized Millie, and we'll make sure that she gets ready, or that she, I'm sorry, I'm reading. Don't look down. We'll make sure she gets that.
I also do have a Facebook page.
Be quiet.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality, and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Did they say their conscious life on steroids? That is so true. Oh my God. Hey, Millie.
Yes.
We're back. And not in that spooky poltergeist sort of way. More in that Terminator saving you sort of way. Like, come with me if you want to live. We have so much to talk about. And one of the things that we have 3 things that we need to do. We need to give out the Namaste Award, the Father Mulcahy Award, and then I have this really crazy letter from this guy, Matthew, in Minnesota, of all places. That's kind of was the synchronicity that made me. You're in Minnesota, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I have one more question for you, and you know, we're going to have like an ongoing forum thing, especially at Club Radio Namaste, which is something that I'm going to tell people about later. But when you dream, are you in a wheelchair?
You know what? I am one of those unfortunate people who does not remember her dreams.
Ever?
Ever.
I wonder why.
Maybe because I'm just too
I don't know. I would be interested. Have you talked to other people who have cerebral palsy or, I mean, this kind of disability? I wonder if that's common. We should find out. If anybody out there wants to write to Millie, Millie, did you have an email address that you wanted to give people?
Yes. It might be easier if you just send it to my personal email. Which
I'll do that. So everybody just send Millie, like I said, put it in the subject line at radionamaste@gmail.com. And we also have a contact form at the website. And we have so much more to talk about, Millie, but we'll come back. We'll do this because we're not done. Also, I wanted to let you know that as a result of your influence, I think you were sort of the tipping point with OMTimes Media. Now they're going completely audio because they really do want to focus on the community out there that can't see, can't hear, and are handicapped and disabled because they know. I mean, that's one of the reasons that OMTimes is cutting edge is because they include everyone. You know, it's they're real, they're authentic, but it's about balance. And you know, we're tipping the scales over at the halfway mark now. I've got like 10 minutes left, but everybody's still listening. That means they've been assimilated. Resistance is futile. You're officially awesome. And awesome is the word for the awards we give. I'm a sucker for gold stars, cookies, blah blah blah. Of the 5 languages of love, thanks Gary Chapman. I should get Zen Master Ted, we need to get Gary Chapman on the show. I love his book. He should let me interview him. Words of affirmation is the #1 language of love for me. And then gifts. You know, you could wrap a freaking toothpick in some paper with a bow, and I'm nuts about you for weeks. So anyways, the Namaste Award is for people to highlight the people in their life who have exhibited qualities we respect and admire. And Millie, you're getting the Namaste Award this week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I think you are incredibly brave for agreeing to do the show with me. I know that this is not easy for you, and I really admire what you're doing, and I love you, and I'm supporting you 100%. But also because we have a worldwide healing organization that focuses on the power of positive focused intention. And Millie just stepped up and as one of the co-founders, the original co-founders of the White Light Express. You can go to whitelightexpress.com and send us your prayer requests. But Millie, just out of the blue, because she knew that I was, you know, having some issues with getting sponsors and this, that, and the other, she said, well, I'm just going to handle that payment for you every month, darling. And I argued with her, and she said, don't argue with me. And then we got in a big argument.
We sure did. In fact, it was just a few days ago. And we just, kaboom! And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to show her. It's
true. Don't ever upset Millie, you guys. It doesn't work. It's like, it's just, no.
I will your butt. Year to next year.
She will actually get in her wheelchair. One of her favorite things to do is run people over in her wheelchair. It's true.
Oh my God. I know what you're referring to. Oh my God. And this is Chris's favorite story. One time I made the mistake of going out on New Year's Eve for a meal. I will never do that again. We had to wait for a table, which was to be expected. When our table became ready, though, there was this guy in this gray business suit that was standing right in my way.
This fucking guy.
That I needed to move in order to get to my table. So I said, excuse me, And he didn't move. So I thought, well, all right, maybe he just didn't hear me because the place was packed. So
Where was this? Do you remember?
This was at the Timber Lodge restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Near where I lived. So I said, excuse me again. He still didn't move. And I'm thinking, okay, one more time. So for the third time, I said, excuse me. And he still didn't move. And I thought, okay, you are now going to get it. So I switched my chair on and I put that thing in high gear and I ran right over the slip, literally. And he gave me a look that could curdle milk, and I whipped around and I said,
oh, God.
I whipped around and I said, well, if you'd have gotten out of the way when I asked you to move, you wouldn't have been run over now, would you?
I love you so much. Did you put it in reverse and go over the son of a gun again?
Actually, you know what? I was so mad that if I could have, instead of his foot, I would have run over somewhere else.
Oh, well, okay, that's not very light worker of you. I'm judging you now.
Well, you have to remember, though, that this took place before I knew I was a light worker.
Oh, honey, don't give me any of that. You do it today.
Only for those who really...
Only when you were handing them the Father Mulcahy Award, right?
Yes.
Okay, this week's Father Mulcahy Award, okay? The Father Mulcahy Award is the opposite of the Nahmaste Award. And this Nahmaste Award is Namaste. It's the authentic Namaste. But the Father Mulcahy Award, the Karma Police from the GoodKarmaFactory.com have provided citations for us to deliver to someone who has displayed disgusting thoughtlessness or is hopelessly spaced out or is dangerously unaware. Anyways, there's just plain rude and obnoxious, but it's really funny when it's somebody who ought to know better. Like my father, Mulcahy, was an actual person. But this week's karma violation goes to an officer in Jefferson County, Washington, who pulled over a perfectly sober, delightful, and amazing female friend of mine on Thanksgiving Day. It appears that she may have just been too damn sparkly for this cranky bastard. And he randomly ran her license, probably because she was going a little too slow. I don't know. She was looking for a driveway. The rest is history. He arrested her without a witness, put her in the back of his car in cuffs because, well, I don't know, she's 110 pounds and she's a fairy. She could have been dangerous, right? Maybe she had extra sparkle. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right. Sure.
Yeah. He did this without a female officer present and then acted like he was doing her a favor, right? By writing her a ticket for a suspended license, which is impossible because she doesn't have a license, right? Right? And before you get your knickers in a twist, I want to remind people that it is not really necessary to have a license if you want to travel. That's the key word in there, travel. It's your constitutional right to travel without dilemmas or paperwork or certification. Yep. Loopholes in the law. Anyways, the court case following this event will probably make some history too. It's going to be hippie law versus the other law. Yeah. Isn't that crazy, Millie?
Oh,
this stuff is it's like Gestapo stuff. I mean, she's got this Jeep and it had like purple flowers on it, and it's Thanksgiving. She wasn't swerving. She wasn't going. What a douchebag. Oh. Anyways, okay, enough of that. Enough. He definitely, and I'm going to mail it to him too. I'm literally going to mail him this karma violation. And it's going to be hysterical. I wish I could be a fly on the wall. But Matthew from Minnesota writes for the Ask the Blue Collar Goddess portion of our hour, and we're almost done with the hour, but Millie, get this. He says, hi. Ted, are you reading this? Hi. My wife wants a swimming pool in the ground. I say above the ground. She said it's your call.
People, I'm sorry, but there's answer your question, but please, everybody, please take Sarah's abilities and gifts seriously, because
this is actually kind of funny though. I mean, literally, if they want to call me and spend their money, at OMTimes Advisors, which is an excellent platform. There's some excellent people out there. I mean, I'm an incredible psychic, but what I say no. Ted, what does the Magic 8 Ball say?
Maybe he wants to go ice fishing.
Oh, no, it does. The Magic 8 Ball does not say that. What does it say, really?
No.
Okay, so listen, Matthew from Minnesota. We have Millie from Minnesota here too, and I like the synchronicity of that. But I think you need a hot tub, and I think you need to build your hot tub inside your new hot tub gazebo enclosed area with your sauna. And as soon as you get that built, you can send me a round trip ticket to come out and visit it and make sure that it's all good. And then I'll see Millie too at the same time. So there you go. You don't get an above ground pool or below ground pool. You get a hot tub. Right, Millie?
Right.
Next week's guest is going to be Karen Doherty of Raison Éthique. It's a rags to rags story. Literally, I'm not joking. You would be amazed at what this woman can do with some secondhand things, homemade soap, body cream, and more. I'm interested because I use these products from Raison Éthique almost exclusively now, and I can see the difference. It's amazing. You will too. I think she uses actual fairy dust. Well, thanks, Millie. I hear the closing music. Don't forget, she's going to be with us on the last Thursday of every month. Thank you, all you beautiful people out there, for joining me today on Radio Namaste, brought to you by OMTimes Media and our sponsors. I look forward to another hour with you next week.